Okay, at this point, you got the X, you're actually in conversation. So this again, we've laid the foundation for just getting to really interact with this person. They've expressed to you where they feel like they're at in their relationship with God. So this can go a lot of different directions. The last verse in the bridge is Revelation 3:20. So, man, if you're feeling like, man, they're tracking, they get this, they understand. I would even ask them, if they go back, once they put their X there, once they have to reevaluate, then they have to choose a side. So if they choose man's side, I would ask him, well, hey, how would somebody on this side get to this side? And I'd want to hear them say, well, yeah, if you understand that you really deserve to die, but Christ has taken your spot, man, you can ask for forgiveness and you can take them through. And at that point, I would share a 30-second testimony. And so for me, exactly what I would do is I would say, well, hey, this is what happened to me. I was dating this girl in high school, and all of a sudden, God really convicted me on our relationship. So I broke up with the girl, and I said, God, I'd actually prayed and asked Christ in my life when I was like 8. But I said, God, if it didn't count when I was 8, would you forgive my sin and come into my life and help me to live for you? And that's what I asked God to do. And from that moment on, I was transformed. And so I would just tell my story on purpose and include those things so that that person could be like, oh, and just follow that example. So if they put themselves on man's side and they did that, they said, oh yeah, I'm over here. And I would ask those questions, say, well, and then I would say, well, would that be something you'd be willing to do at some point? And I wouldn't want to pressure them to do it right then. That you know, um, and so, but if they did say, yeah, it would be something, I'd say, well, hey, there's one more verse, and it's Revelation 3:20, and nothing really to write down except for the reference. And It says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and eat with him and he with me. And so, okay, great. So Jesus is talking and he's knocking on the door. What do you think he's knocking on the door to? Yeah, right. The door, I think, is the door to your decisions, the door to who you are, the door to your life. Great. Um, so he's knocking. So if somebody's knocking on your door, you have a few options. What are they? Oh, yeah, and so you just kind of go through those. Yeah, you can ignore it, not answer it. You can open it, say, "Hey, come on in." And then you could open it and tell him to go away. So Jesus is knocking at the door, and he's saying, "Hey, you can tell Jesus to go away. You can ignore it, or you can invite him in." So if you were to invite Jesus in, what does the verse promise that he would do? It says, "Dine with him and he with you." So what does that say if we sit down and we get a meal together? It says we're friends, since we're close, that we like being together. So Jesus is saying, if you invite me into your life, we can have a relationship. We can enjoy being together. So if that'd be something you'd want to do, man, I know you could pray just like I did and ask Christ to forgive your sins, just what this says. So that's one direction you could go with that. Um, if they put them, yeah. So that's how you could go with that. But I like to use the phrase, would you be willing to do that at some point? Would you be willing to do that at some point? That way they have the option to say, no, I don't think I would, or not yet, or oh yeah, what's there for you? And you can just really have a great conversation with them. And that's the value. That's one of the values of the bridge. It just opens up this conversation you can have with a person.